First section of Chapter 1 is expressions and formulas, and the first thing we're going to do is evaluate expressions. Pardon the reflection, you're going to see me if you pay attention. Here's this terms you're going to see. Variable, which you should know, it takes the place of a number, and if you have been given values, you can substitute them in for those variables. We're going to contrast expressions and equations. We're going to go back through the order of operations, and then we're going to get to formulas at the end of the section. So here's the first thing that we're going to do. Evaluate each expression if A is equal to -2, B equals 3, and C equals 4.2. In this first expression, we do not have C. And you can see that we're going to substitute into A and into B. We're not going to use C for the very first one. Let's use a cover sheet. We have the next one already filled in. So let's see how this works. And we're going to kind of work through the order of operations as we go through this problem. So here's our -2, which is A, and our 3, which is B. There was already a 3 in the problem. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work inside here, inside B plus 3. And I get 6. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to evaluate this 6 squared. And that's going to give me 36, which you see here. And I've run out of room, so I'm going to move over to the right. I'm going to do this 2 times -2, which gives me -4. And then I'm going to combine the -4 and 36. And 32 is my final answer. And I'm reminding you over here that you can write multiplication as this dot, as parentheses, and of course you have the old school X, which we are moving away from as you've gotten into middle school and high school. And so here are the various ways that I have written multiplication. There is another problem which we will do together here in class, which shows 2 different grouping methods, and that brings me into the order of operations. So let's review. What was that phrase that you guys did? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Ta-da, there it is. Of course, the P meaning parentheses or grouping symbols, so you have brackets and parentheses. The E representing evaluate exponents, so you would look for that after parentheses. That would be the next thing on your list to look for in those evaluation problems. The M and D, my dear, is what you come to next, and you kind of work them at the same time, but you are working left to right in your problem. It is not multiply first and then you divide. It is as you're working through the problem left and right, and the same thing with addition and subtraction. Subtraction is not the last thing you do, and you must do addition before it. You work left to right through your problems. Let us simplify an expression, and I didn't want to give it all away. Let's do that cover sheet again. You have an expression here, and we're going to work through combining like terms and the distributive property. So here we've got some terms, and let's see what are the like terms. So we have 3x and 2x. We have 5 and the -3. You can skip this step, but if you would like to collect your like terms, which I feel like you can do in your head if you do these, underlines and squiggles or circles, you kind of do it in your head. Just don't lose sight of your negative signs. This is a -3. Yes, it says minus, but subtraction is adding a negative. So that subtraction kind of goes with the 3. It travels with it. So this is 5, and you're subtracting 3, so that subtraction needs to travel with the 3. And so our final answer is 5x plus 2, because 3x plus 2x gives you 5x, and 5, positive 5, minus 3 is 2. One more problem. Let's take a look at distributive property. So before we can move on and simplify this problem, so at first we evaluated when we were given those values for A, B, and C. So we evaluated because we had a value. Now we're going to simplify because we don't know a value. So we're going to combine like terms and use distributive property. So we have to distribute -4. We have to distribute 6. Don't forget the sign. This is a -4. So that's going to give us here 12, 6 times 2, and here 6m. Here we get a -8m, and here we get a -4. And then, of course, we've got to combine like terms. We're going to collect them. So we got squiggles for like terms, 6 and -8. We got double lines for 4 and 12, which is going to give us -2m and our positive 8 because we have positive 12 and negative 4. And let's move through. Yeah, we'll do that problem together in class. And I think we have formulas. So when we get to formulas, we're going to evaluate and we're going to manipulate formulas together to find a measurement, a desired measurement. So the first thing we need to do is we've got to decide what formula are we going to need to find what we're looking for. Then we need to know what information do we have, and then what do we need to find. So those are questions we have to ask ourselves. Also, is a formula an equation or is it an expression? You know, we have formulas that are relationships between measurements that are fixed. They are unchangeable, and they help us determine these values and measurements. So here's our problem. The formula for the area of a triangle, oh, they give it to us. So nice. With height h and base b is a equals 1/2 base times height, and write an expression to represent the area of this triangle. So where's the base at? Well, the base would be what it's sitting on or what it could sit on, because sometimes they move around the picture. And then what's the height? Well, the height's always going to be perpendicular, right angle to the base. So this must be our height. This must be our base. So we're going to substitute this in for our base, and we're going to substitute this in for our height. What does that look like? Well, we would write our formula over, which they have given to us, and they were so very nice. And we identified this as our base, and we identified 2x as our height. And so this is what our problem looks like. Is there more work we can do? Yes, there is. We multiply all of this together, so we can do some filling out with this when we get back into class. So have that ready, and we will work on that together.